This is Creality's Falcon2 22W laser machine that I'll be giving an in-depth and unbiased review for in just a moment. This video will be easy to follow and provide you with all of the necessary information to make the right purchase. Stay with me because there's a lot of information coming up. So first, here's some basic info about the Falcon2 22W laser engraving and cutting machine. Number 1, the Falcon2 is made by Creality, who is a well-respected brand and one of the largest 3D printer manufacturers in the world. 2, it goes for about $1,000 on Amazon, and I've linked it in the description. Stay tuned for a 20% discount code. 3, this machine doesn't just engrave pictures on things, it can also cut functional parts from various materials, engrave hundreds of colors on stainless steel, and be used to create real products with excellent quality. And 4, this particular laser machine comes with a ton of accessories and awesome built-in features like air assist, 5 safety protections, and a triple monitoring system. We'll talk about all of these in a moment. Alright, now let's show you what's in the box. Inside, all the parts are neatly organized and protected. We've got the frame, the laser module, our power supply, the air assist module, some leg extensions for larger objects or materials, tinted goggles, and a lot of other little accessories. Now mine also includes this motorized roller for engraving on cylindrical objects, a small honeycomb panel at the bottom, and this huge protective cover with a built-in fan to extract fumes. All 3 of these products would need to be purchased separately. And stick around for the details about this enclosure before you buy it because there are some minor problems I've come across. Okay, the main parts are out now. Here we have the legs, power supply, air assist compressor, laser module, and the frame. Everything right here is all that you'll need to assemble, so the majority of it is already done for you. This should only take about 5 to 10 minutes to be fully assembled and ready for testing. Okay, took about 6 minutes, super easy. So the laser head just slides right on here. Each leg on the bottom has 3 different holes it can go in depending on the size of your table. The air assist plugs into the side and connects to the laser, and the power supply plugs into the other side. I'd also make sure all the belts are tensioned properly and that everything seems square during assembly. My belts and frame all seemed great, so now we're ready to run some tests on a variety of materials. But before we test it out, let's review some of the amazing features of this machine. So the Falcon2 22W laser machine is more powerful than ever and should be able to handle nearly any project you run through it. Creality claims it can cut 15mm thick wood in one pass, so we'll put that to the test. They also claim it can cut up to 10mm black acrylic and 0.05mm stainless steel, both in one pass as well. Even though 0.05 of a millimeter is thinner than paper, that's still pretty impressive because we're talking about stainless steel. Next is the integrated air assist feature. Now at first I didn't really know what this was, and to be honest I didn't really think much about it, but it is awesome. So as stated before, this is the module, and it's included with the standard purchase of this machine. It's pretty much a miniaturized compressor that blasts air directly where you're cutting or engraving to provide a nice and clean finish and reduce the amount of scoring and burning that takes place. You can adjust the airflow in the software or with the knob on the side here. This is a huge bonus with this machine and dramatically improves the quality and refinement of projects, which you'll see in a bit. Then we have a triple monitoring system which monitors airflow from the air assist compressor, the clarity of the lens that the laser shines through, and even monitors if a flame is present. So for the airflow monitor, it turns red when there is no airflow, yellow for weak airflow, and green for high airflow. Creality recommends to run the airflow on low for engraving and high for cutting. The lens monitor indicates when you need to clean off the laser's lens, which can get really dirty if air assist isn't on while cutting. And then lastly, the flame monitor flashes red to indicate if the machine has detected a flame and stops the engraver immediately. Okay, now to the 5 awesome integrated safety protections this engraver has. First, we have the security lock to turn it on, and this is optional, so if you don't think you'll use this feature, you can just leave it turned to this position and throw the key out because there's a secondary switch on the side here. The next protection is the emergency stop button, which completely powers off the machine if something were to happen. Next, we have the active stop function, which also powers off the laser, but this time if it detects a sudden tilt or accidental drop. Then we have this little protective cover to filter out the laser light. And it's also got a ton of limit switches all over. Now possibly one of the neatest features with the Falcon2 is the colorful engraving, which allows you to engrave hundreds of colors onto stainless steel. But unfortunately, there's not really a whole lot of information on how to achieve colorful engravings, so I'll show you how to figure out which temperatures cause what colors and how to dial them into your projects towards the end of the video. Next, there's this really handy feature Creality calls offline intelligence. which basically refers to the frame and pause and play buttons. This feature allows you to use the engraver with the included SD card to transfer files from the computer to the machine, instead of having to connect your computer directly to the machine. The neat thing about this is that you can actually change the location of the frame to line it up with your material, pause and play a job, and home the laser all from these buttons, which I'll show in detail soon. Alright, now we can see what this machine is really capable of. And upon purchase, I really recommend looking through the contents of the included SD card. It has videos explaining exactly how to update the firmware, how to set up configurations for the Falcon 2 in the computer software, frequently asked questions, recommended parameters, and a lot more. So my machine is up to date, and I've installed the Falcon 2 22W configuration into Lightburn laser software. You will have to pay about $60 for Lightburn after the 30-day free trial runs out, or you can use the free Laser Gerbil software if you're on Windows. So I've got a test model ready in Lightburn now, and I'm going to upload it to the SD card to test out the offline features I mentioned earlier. I'll cut this out of the thin basswood included in the box. Although the Honeycomb Panel isn't included with the standard purchase, I really recommend getting the smaller version at least, which is 300 by 300 millimeters, if you plan to do any cutting at all. I do wish Creality would include this with the initial purchase, because it seems like a must-have for cutting any material. So after we insert our SD card into the machine, we can press the frame button and it should home the laser. Then it should draw a frame where the object is going to be engraved or cut. By using the arrows, you can adjust down to the millimeter exactly where the laser cuts the material. So once the materials are in the workspace, you won't even have to touch them again, as long as they're somewhat parallel with the frame of the machine. After we've got it set, we can press the play button and the laser will get to work. And that's really all it takes. Okay, it took about 20 minutes and looks really nice for a first test. The letters are very clear and there's pretty much zero scoring thanks to the Air Assist. Really happy with the quality already. Now that we know it works, we can try some test grids on different materials to really get this thing tuned and start engraving in color. To give you an idea of how easy this machine is to use, I've never even touched a laser engraver in my life, and this was very quick and easy to figure out. Creality is a very organized company and they make it extremely simple to follow along with all the various tutorials included on the SD card. I mean, they even give you a little flowchart to trace your steps. Okay, now let's cut out a little test grid to figure out the max speed and lowest power we can cut this thin wood at. A grid like this can be created with a simple tool in Lightburn. So it looks like the max speed we can cut at is somewhere around 1000 millimeters per minute for this particular wood, but that's at 100% power. So then at the lowest power, we must cut at a speed of around 500 millimeters per minute. And here's a test for engraving. Looks like somewhere close to 9000 millimeters at 40% power may be a good option. Now that we've tested some different parameters, we can try a power test, an air assist test, a precision test, and a color engraving test. Okay, for the power test, we'll see if the Falcon 2 22W can really cut 15mm thick wood in one pass like Creality claims. So this is the closest thickness I have to 15mm wood. That's about 14.3mm, but that'll be close enough. First I'll try to cut out this hexagon in one pass at 100% power and 100mm per minute. Then I'll do a grid to figure out the fastest speed we can cut this wood at. As claimed, the Falcon 2 cut it in just one pass. The edges are very clean thanks to the air assist, but there was a small amount of charring. This is probably down to the quality of this old random piece of wood, but still something to keep in mind. Overall, really impressive. So after running the grid to test the max speed of cutting at 100%, it looks like one square did come out at 150mm per minute, but with better results on the hexagon at 100mm per minute. Next we'll see what the integrated air assist really does. I have two identical logos here, Both are going to be engraved and cut at the same speeds, but only one will have air assist on. As you can see, the logo with the air assist on turned out much cleaner. There's no visible charring or stains around the edges like on the one with the air assist off. Now these are small, but you can see how much of a difference this would make on a large-scale project. The air assist also protects the laser's lens from gathering smoke while working. For the precision test, I engraved a portrait of Albert Einstein on one of the paper samples. The quality of this machine is very impressive, and I think this came out really neat. Lastly, we'll test the color engraving capabilities of the Falcon 2. Now it turns out one thing that isn't super clear is how to actually use the color engraving feature. And as stated before, you can only engrave in color on stainless steel. I'll show you what I did here, but I might make an in-depth tutorial explaining exactly how to engrave in color sometime soon. So subscribe for that. So on a stainless steel sheet, I engraved a little test grid with different temperatures and speeds to get as many different colors as possible. With the right settings, you can actually get a full array of colors here. Then I did this 2 more times with different parameters, trying to capture as many colors as I could. As you can see, this feature really works well. Then using those results, I was able to choose the shade of blue and white I liked best to engrave a colorful logo. I just inserted the speed and power for the desired color and clicked Start. It's impressive how well this machine can control its temperature to oxidize the steel to a specific color. Now the coloring on the right side of the logo was a bit off due to the quality of the steel I was using, but that shows that warped material can really have an effect on the color. The left side looks great though. While I'm testing things, I thought I'd show you some of the capabilities of the Rotary Module here, which will need to be purchased separately if you plan on engraving anything cylindrical. Here's a little tea tin and water bottle I engraved my logo on using this handy device. Okay, that concludes the testing. Now we're on to the pros and cons. So there are quite a bit of positives for the Creality Falcon2 22W laser engraver and cutter. This machine has a lot to offer. Number 1, the Falcon 2 is super easy to get started with, as it comes almost fully pre-assembled and practically everything you need can be found on the included SD card. Like I said before, I've never used an engraver in my life until this point. 2, there are a ton of awesome features that may be hard to find included with other laser machines, like the integrated air assist, precise color engraving, and all of the monitoring systems and safety features. This machine is also really powerful for a diode laser, and it's most likely suitable for any hobby project and even more advanced projects. The Falcon 2 22W is much more powerful than Creality's previous Falcon 10W laser engraver model, allowing you to cut much thicker materials in just one pass. The Falcon 2 is also much faster and incorporates that unique color engraving feature. And the Falcon 2 includes an air assist module with the purchase. A really solid and well-built machine. However, there are some minor negatives I'd like to bring up, but this is mostly just me being picky. And these aren't really directed towards the machine itself, but rather its accessories. The first con I found is the overall design of the protective cover. First, the support beams on the cover are just kind of annoying because they're right in the middle of the opening. Not a huge deal as there's still plenty of room, but I might take these out and 3D print some triangle structures to support the sides from caving in here. Second, to use the fan for extracting fumes, you'll need to free up an additional outlet for the fan's USB. It would be nice if this could somehow plug directly into the machine to reduce the amount of cords. And lastly, for the enclosure, it is a bit inconvenient to insert the SD card into the machine because it's impossible to see where the SD card slot is. So I may have to put a small mirror here to make it a little easier. The only other con I had was that the standard purchase doesn't include a honeycomb panel by default, which I mentioned earlier, so that'll cost a bit extra if you plan to do any cutting. That's really it though. I don't have any real complaints with the actual machine's performance or quality. Overall, I am super impressed with the capabilities of the Falcon 2 22W laser machine. It really is an amazing tool with so many built-in features. The build quality, ease of use, organization, and all the features are hard to beat for a laser at this price. I think Creality did a great job with this. And as promised, here's the 20% discount code for the Falcon 2 22W laser. Let me know your thoughts about this laser machine in the comments, and subscribe so you don't miss the project video I'll be uploading in the next month that will really show what this machine is capable of. And you can get some early behind-the-scenes access to all upcoming videos through your support on Patreon. Thanks! Let me know if you decide to make the purchase. Bye!